Hello, my name's Andrew Brooks. Welcome to my YouTube channel. This video is all about a solo Beatles rock and roll album. Why not? Hello, and thank you once again for joining me on my YouTube channel. And as I said in the intro, going to be looking at a sort of made up album of solo Beatles rock and roll stuff. Now, how did I stumble across this idea? Well, later on today, in fact, I'm going to be recording a podcast with two friends of mine. My good friend Simon Rogers and myself are going to be on Sam Wild's podcast, and we're going to be just talking about the time Simon and myself went up to Liverpool to see Paul McCartney play at the Cavern, and this was for the Run Devil Run promo sort of stuff. But yeah, how did I get onto this idea? Well, you know, I've been re-listening to Run Devil Run, watched the video, and I've quite got into the Beatles doing rock and roll, and I suddenly thought, I haven't played Lennon's rock and roll album for a while. Dug that out, and then I dug out Run Devil Run for the video, but then the Russian album Chobber behind me as well. I've been looking at that, and then I got to thinking, well, if I'm going to do a solo Beatles, I'm going to need some contributions from George and Ringo, and I've managed to find a few from them, but they were a bit harder to find because obviously they didn't have dedicated rock and roll albums. So let's just have a little look at my track listing and where I come from. As I said, this is going to be a really short video. It's literally a little run through of the track listing, how I see it. What I would love is for you to, one, come up with a title for this solo Beatles rock and roll. I can't think of one other than a solo Beatles rock and roll, but I'm sure people out there in YouTube land will be able to think up some sort of clever title. Be interested in hearing that. Be interested in seeing your track listing, and if I've missed any sort of tracks that you think, oh no, that should have been on instead of whatever, let me know. I read all the comments and I do reply to the ones that I think need a response to. Thank you very much for all the new subscribers, and if you're not a new subscriber, why not? It's totally free, and all you need to do is just sort of click this button down here and tap on the bell, and you'll hear of any new videos that come out. And also, just to let you know, if any things pop up here in a banner, if you click on those, and there will be a few in this video, if you click on those, then it will just sort of store it for after this video, and then you'll get to see what I was actually talking about. And one of these will be this album that I've compiled in the correct order that I've compiled it, and you can then just listen to the album as I think it should be. But as I say, I will be really interested to see what other people think, what tracks should have been included, what tracks shouldn't have been included. Okay, now there was a few that I'm like, oh, should I include that? Should I not include that? So as I said, George was really limited because what I've done is I've not included any songs written by any of the Beatles. So there's no McCartney, there's no Lennon, there's no Harrison, there's no Starr. It's all cover versions from their rock and roll memories that Run Devil Run and the Russian album, and of course Rock and Roll for John. So I was sort of thinking through, well, where am I going to get the Ringo stuff from? Now, obviously, Ringo has had a few albums out, and he does do cover versions. And one of them that I did remember, I have included in the track list. I'm not going to come to which one that is. There was I'm trying to think, was there any others that I missed? There might have been one off of Stop and Smell the Roses, but off the top of my head, I can't think what it is. Now, coming on to George, I'll be honest with you, I struggled with George, but the majority of, well, in fact, all of the George tracks have come out from the Carl Perkins TV show, where there's obviously a record, or recording rather, of that show. It's available on YouTube. So for George's tracks, I've included those from that particular show. There was one other George track, and it suddenly come to my mind, and that was off of Dark Horse album, and that was the Everly Brothers' Bye Bye Love. I played it and I was like, no, I don't think I'll be including this. As much as I love George and as much as I love the Dark Horse album, unfortunately, Bye Bye Love just didn't quite hit it for me. So let's get on with my track listing, and we will start, obviously, at the beginning. The first track is a John Lennon track. I decided to open with John. I'll let you know there's 12 tracks. I've done, let me think, 4 John tracks because there's only one album to choose from. I've done 5 Paul tracks because there was 2 albums to choose from. I've done 2 George tracks and 1 Ringo track. So the first track is a John track, obviously from Rock and Roll, and that is, to open it, with a belter, slipping and a sliding. Fantastic opening track, I think. You know, it just sort of comes and hits you straight in your face. So that was my lead off track number 1, slipping and sliding, from Rock and Roll. And of course there is the great video of John performing it for the Old Grey Whistle test. So yeah, check that one out. In fact, I'll tell you what, I'll stick a link to it up here. If you haven't already seen it, you can check it out there. Leading into the second track, now this one is from the Run Devil Run album, which Paul's 1999 album, as you can see behind me up there, and on CD behind me here is a nice double CD with an interview, and I decided to go with I Got Stung. As I said, I've been listening to the the Run Devil Run album, and this one stood out after a few plays. I thought, actually, do you know what? I quite like I Got Stung, so I can kind of see why Paul chose it. I believe it was an Elvis track, so yeah, check that one out. I'm not going to include a link because you will see all of these songs at the end anyway if you follow the link at the end. Okay, now we switch back to John again from the Rock and Roll album. I've gone with Rip It Up / Ready Teddy. It's sort of a medley there, and I really enjoyed this when I sort of revisited John Lennon's Rock and Roll, and which I hadn't done for quite a while. So yeah, I decided actually, yeah, I quite like Rip It Up, Ready Teddy. Now we go back to Paul, and this time we're going to visit the Russian album, which I've got a few copies behind me here. Decide, and a cassette. How about that? I might as well show you the cassette because I don't think many people have probably seen a cassette of it before. But yeah, that's the legitimate cassette there. I dug that up this morning when I was going through a box looking for things. So yeah, so from the Rock and Roll album, we're now going to have Don't Get Around Much Anymore. Now, from memory, I think this probably was a 12-inch single. Don't quote me on that. I'm pretty sure from my hazy memory of those heady days, it did come out on a 12-inch single in some format. Yeah, so from the Russian album, I'm then going to take up the next one, track 5. We're going to have George. As I said, these have all come from the Carl Perkins TV show. I'll show you this here. That's my DVD of it. I'm sure it's all available on YouTube. But it was a fantastic show, and I unfortunately did not get tickets to it, which I was very miffed at, because it would have been fantastic to see George doing all that stuff with Carl Perkins. So, as I said, it is with Carl Perkins, so these are all going to be Carl Perkins cover versions, and he does Glad All Over. And it's a joy because Carl says he doesn't remember it. George then picks up the mantle and starts singing it, and then Carl joins in later. So, yeah, that's track number 5, George's Glad All Over. Number 6, going to flip back to Run Devil Run, which is behind me there. Going to slow it down now for the end of side 1, if we're going to be playing it on vinyl. Slow it down, and we're going to have Lonesome Town from Run Devil Run. And I do recall Paul saying that he and Linda used to listen to this at the same time, but in different continents when they were younger. Paul obviously in Liverpool, in England, and Linda in New York, in America. So they sort of were both listening to this same music at the same time, just not together. So yeah, the closing of side 1 on the vinyl, or track number 6 if you're going to listen to it in any other format, streaming or whatever. We're going to have Lonesome Town, and as I say, now flipping the record over, we're going to move the mood back up a bit, and we're going to step it up with a Party from Run Devil Run album, again by Paul McCartney. So yeah, Party, Run Devil Run, and that's track 7, the opening of side 2. Now, second track on side 2, or track number 8 if you like, we're going to have a Ringo track. Yay! As I said, I did find one that I did quite like from Ringo, and it's called She's About a Mover. And that was on his Old Wave album. Oh, I should have dug it out and put it behind me. Sorry, forgot. Never mind. But yeah, so that's from Ringo's Old Wave album, and She's About a Mover. I forget who did it. It was something like the Sir something or other quintet or something like that. But correct me if I'm wrong. So that was Ringo's contribution to this whole album. He only used to have one track per Beatles album, so I figured I'd stick to that sort of format. Okay, moving on to track number 9, or track 3 on side 2. Flipping back to rock and roll, we're going to have a bit of John Lennon. This time he's singing Angel Baby. Now this was a track that was left off of the original rock and roll, has since been reinstated on sort of later reissues when they've remastered it and things like that. For me, this is, I mean, it slows the mood right down after Ringo's She's About a Mover. But I figured, you know, Paul's had a ballad, why can't John have a ballad? Angel Baby, I think it just sounds absolutely phenomenal. So if you haven't heard it already, stick to the end, follow the link and you'll hear it as part of the track listing. Track number 10, or track 4 on side 2, we're going to have another George track this time. It's again from the Carl Perkins, and it's one he used to sing in the Beatles, but it is a cover version. Everybody's Trying to Be My Baby. It just sounds, when George comes on, Carl Perkins introduces him. It's just great to see George back on stage. So yeah, track number 10 is Everybody's Trying to Be My Baby. That's track number 4, did I say? Track number 5, kicking back to the Russian album, and it's I'm Gonna Be a Wheel Someday. Now this again was on the album, but also was on a 12-inch single from memory. There was a couple of 12-inch singles from this album, and that was one of them. It might have been a bonus track, I can't remember. But yeah, I really like this track, I'm Gonna Be a Wheel Someday. I mean, I'd never heard it before until I heard Paul sing it. So yeah, I really like it. It's great, and I was really pleased when I revisited the rock and roll album, the Russian album, when I was sort of preparing for Sam's podcast. And then moving right to the last track, track 12 is going to be Closer from John, and that's Ain't That a Shame. Bit of a raucous rocker to close the album. So that's track number 12 on this CD, record, whatever you like. The last track on the vinyl. I'm sure some of you guys are going to go, what about bonus tracks? Well, I tell you what, why don't you let me know some bonus tracks? I did think of including The Devil in the Deep Blue Sea, which was on George's Brainwashed album, but I was thinking, is that really rock and roll? When I checked, it was actually from the 30s, so it's sort of like not really rock and roll, hence it wasn't included. But I do love Between the Devil and the Deep Blue Sea. It's a fun track. But there we are. So that was my 12 tracks. I'll just quickly run through them again. So you've got Slipping and a Sliding, I've got Stung, Rip It Up Ready Teddy, Don't Get Round Much Anymore, Glad All Over, Lonesome Town, Party, She's About a Mover, Angel Baby, Everybody's Trying to Be My Baby, I'm Gonna Be a Wheel Someday, and Ain't That a Shame. 12 tracks on a solo Beatles rock and roll album. Now, here's the fun bit. Click the link up here, and that will take you to a playlist that I've created, and you can then just stick it on. Some have got videos, not many though, and just, you know, stick it on and just listen. Let me know what you think. As I said, I do read all comments, and I do respond to the ones that need responding to, but I would love for you to get in touch with me and let me know where you would change my order or take something out or add something in. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this relatively short video, and I'll see you next time.